All right, so I want to give my little rundown slash review slash tutorial of this Lc2i by Audiocontrol. How to also run it, how I have my system with the full 4-channel and bass amp just running off of the Lc2. For starters, the setup that I'm running with my Lc2s, 2017 Sentra SR Turbo, running two of the 1000 RMS cabs, excellent subs by the way, two of the 1000 RMS cabs on a Taramps HD3000 back there for my bass, and a Skar LP80.4 back there for my mids and highs, which I'm running some kickers CS6.5 back here, and some Fosgate Punch PPS4, the 6.5s on the doors, universal AGM in back, all 2.0 EB Flex going up to the front with a Duralast AGM under the hood. Big 4 also for the EQ that I got hooked up to this to run the 4-channel. We got the Clarion EQS746 right here. I'm gonna fabricate something to cover up these wires. It's in all black, but that's how I got it set up. So as far as the Lc2, excellent product. Only issue I've had was finding some stuff to get this thing tuned up right. There was a couple videos when I first got this, which was probably about a year or so ago. The videos I saw was about tuning the Acubase, and also one vid of, just tuning the Lc2. They were both confusing to me. I hit up Audiocontrol themselves, and a rep told me something completely different, and I mean, honestly, I was going through this thing for months trying to figure out how to get it tuned right to sound best. And so I'm gonna let you guys know how I did that. So for starters, how I got my Lc2i, I got it tapped into these, my left and right speaker inputs right here. Got them tapped into my left, actually my left stock speaker harness, because remember I got to get my signal, so I got the stock speaker harness. Both of these with butt connectors, so that way I'm getting a nice tight connection. And to actual power the unit, I got my 12 volt and my ground running directly into the inputs on my amps, also with my wire, so that way when the car turns on, everything turns on up here. And I got just the remote out, just going to one amp, and then got that to another amp, and then up to the front. So when it comes as far as tuning, this is how I'd recommend it. After looking at the videos and stuff, and they say, use the Acubase, you can set the Acubase to help bring in the roll off that you're losing as you turn up the volume on your stock head unit if you run it. I mean, honestly, if you're running a bass amp, the roll off doesn't really, I don't know, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. But I did tune it all three ways. One way was to, you can either lock the Acubase on full and then start raising the threshold until you hear the bass pop back on, and then adjust it from there. I did that way. There was the other way where you can leave the Acubase set centered on here, and start turning up the threshold until it pops on, and then start tuning like that. All three ways I did that. Honestly, the Acubase reminds me of a bass boost. My bass just sounded sloppy all three ways, so I wouldn't recommend using the Acubase. But when it comes to tuning, let me tell you this. So they say, use the, if you're using your bass output, obviously you can only use a bass amp. All right. Now the main output, which is a full range output, it'll split the signal, which is what's giving me and can give you the ability to use the 4-channel. But anyways, when it comes to tuning, you find out when your stock head unit distorts. I use a DD1 for the whole setup, and how you would figure out when your stock head unit distorts with a DD1. The signal that I'm getting from my back speakers, I basically tapped into the back speaker wires right here, my positive and negative, with the DD1. So that way I was able to find out when my head unit distorted and not what was going into the Lc2. So once I got that all figured out, I found out my head unit distorted at 40, so I got 39 out of 40, and that was with the 40 hertz tone and the 1000 hertz tone. 39 is my volume. So from here, since I'm using my main output, but you can use it with the bass output if you're running just a bass amp, turn up whatever one you're using, whether your main or your bass. Go to your clean volume, turn it up until you hear the maximized light, okay? Now, Once you hit the maximize light and you back down, yeah, your signal's clean, but one major thing that Audiocontrol and any of these other people that just recently started coming out with videos with was the voltage coming out. All right, Audiocontrol, they say that the voltage can get up to 9.5 volts out, and honestly, that shit is true. So I feel that you guys should be very aware of the voltage you got coming out going to your amps or your equalizers, because you know most amps and equalizers, or excuse me, most amps and stuff I know have a 6-volt input, some 4 with older ones, but you know, if you got 8 volts going into it, some amps it might not do anything. But there actually is a YouTube tutorial where some guy was showing to check his voltage, and every time he went over 6 volts, which was a max input on his amp, going to protect, you know. So that would be one thing to pay attention for. When I checked my maximized light off of this and I saw that the Lc2 was clean, I checked my voltage going into the EQ up front. I was getting 8.6 volts out of this. All right, so this thing actually does the good voltage I can claim, so pay attention to your voltage. All right, when I had the 8.6 volts going into my EQ, I was only getting 3.5 volts out, which didn't really make sense to me at first, because I was like, all right, you know, this EQ should be getting up to 7 volts out. Like I should be getting better to, you know, better than 3 or something if, you know, if I was getting 8 out. So what I did was I lowered my main output voltage to 3.6 volts because my EQ can only have 4 volts max. So once I lowered it to the 3.6 going to the EQ, I was getting, after I tuned the EQ, I was getting 5.6 out of all the channels, bass and highs, going to all my amps. All right. So if you also want to know how to tune the EQ, once I measured, like I mentioned, the RCAs and everything going into my EQ, and I knew it was clean going in, to measure it going out, basically for my mids and my highs, I have everything flat. Went to my clean volume on the head unit. You know, I was clean on the excuse me, the LC2. I plugged my mids and highs, my front and rear channels on the EQ into the into the DD1. Then, just to figure out the overall volume was clean, I started raising my main volume until I found the distortion light. Backed off, set it right there. I don't touch the main volume on here. I just use my head unit for that. And then same with, you know, with the bass amp. Got my clean volume on here, clean volume in the head unit, plugged in the bass amp, used a 40 hertz tone for the bass amp, you know, 0 dB, turned it up till I got distortion, backed off. Or excuse me, yeah, turned up to distortion and then backed off and set it right there. So I knew that was where my max clean volume is. Marked it on here so I know not to go past that. And then basically just continue the process, plug my DD1, you know, into the amps, or excuse me, into the Skar amp. The Taramps one can't do the DD1, I guess, or Brazilian or something, but you can actually set that with the 40 hertz tone and then just use a clip light built in on the amp. And I've had no issues or nothing since. My music is loud and clear. And as far as the Skar amp with the DD1 in it, the Skar LP80.4, I'm not sure if the other Skar amps, but the distortion light on those picked up exactly where the DD1 picked up distortion. So they're pretty accurate. Good job on that, Skar. Now, once I had my EQ and everything all tuned up with the bass amps, to tune my EQ, I recommend this Dayton Audio IMM6 calibrated mic. All right, I'm using it with Audiotool and using just a pink noise tone, and you know, basically use my EQ. I actually wired up my phone to the to my laptop and basically streamed it, so I was able to, you know, have a real-time actual view. Have my phone set up with the mic, you know, right here facing outwards, and then just use the, you know, use the laptop, went off of it and tuned it up. And I gotta say, for the stock head unit, getting to get 5.6 signal, volt signal going out to all my amps, the EQ and everything, it sounds damn good, damn loud, damn clear. For sure, my loudest build, and I'm happy with it. But as far as the LC2, I just wanted to, like I said, give you guys a quick tutorial on how to tune that up proper and go over some details, some important details that I feel Audiocontrol and a few other guys missed. But hope this helps, and thanks.